And so, in this state of being, the question is not whether or not you are being, as we promised. You are always being something. So now we go back to the question, what do you suppose is being liberated? It is not yourself. You believe that it is because you believe you are separate. You believe when you become liberated, you free yourself from this sphere, and I go off to go elsewhere, another plane of existence, heaven, hell, astral plane, dimension, whatever. We have said that there are states of being, but we never said that they were separate. We have always said the premise, it is all happening now. As in the room you were in, right now. Look around your room again. Were you aware that there are beings constant right now, currently liberating where you are? Because we are all in the same space. And so if it is all happening now, as Spirit continually states, whether through us or others who teach like we do, who come to demonstrate the truth, if it is the same message, why are you not aware of it? Why is it blocked from your perception? And we go back to, well, what are you currently being? What do you have your attention upon? And your attention is upon the fact you are separate, which then arises fear. And from that, as you would say, your 7 deadly sins and all of their expressive forms, all an extension of fear. But getting past the vague word of fear, we will link it to separate. I, they, he, theirs, mine, ours. Separate. The idea of separation goes directly against the energy of God. Now, perhaps you don't believe in God. Perhaps you are getting nervous. Excuse us. Perhaps you get nervous that we use that word, because out will come the book of our choice to thump you with. There, God is expressive as flowers in a field. All of it is God. The point that is missed as a states of being is that in order for something to exist, it is within that energy, whether you call it God or not. It is. If it is within that experience because there's no place else to be. Because again, if you're going to say, this is the realm of God, and then we have this over here, which is different. then you are teaching separation. And isn't it strange? There are many different types of channels, and we have always been here. We have always been with you. And whether you're looking at inspired writings, regardless of how you term them, religious works, spiritual works, witchcraft doctrines, they always come back to particular points. If it is within the experience of God. What is free will? Another important question. How you interpret that. And how do you interpret that is the question of the day. How do you interpret that? And if you truly observe your life, we challenge the conclusion of you not drawing the understanding based on how you are currently being, which is that you are not connected to that energy. You are separate from that energy, which creates the frustration that you don't understand that energy, that you can't feel that energy, that you pray and don't see the results of a connection. Now, that is not the same as those who pray for the candy red Ferrari to appear in the driveway, like there's some type of magician trying to conjure a physical item, and the frustration that no such car appears. That is conjuration. That is attempting a magical spell, not the same thing we speak of. What we speak of is that praying, trying to feel a connection, trying to feel a presence, trying to prove a relationship with that which is, however you view that. And there may be a moment of something happening. But is it a true relationship? Like that you can depend on? For example, getting up in the morning and knowing the coffee pot will be there. You may have to replace it after a few years, but you know it'll be there. You depend on that if you are a coffee drinker. You trust in that. You know if you press the button and have done what you're supposed to, coffee will be produced. And you will have that moment when you first sip it. Is that your relationship with God? Or is it more questionable than that? Do you trust it like you trust your coffee maker? Do you depend on it like you depend on your coffee maker? Do you pull that energy towards you in awareness with the same need as your first sip of coffee in the morning? And for many of you, most of you, the answer is no, you don't. You don't have that relationship with that which is. And yet, how many writings, how many channel sessions, how far back does that go? The answer is longer than you were aware. We have always been with you. And we state continually that this is so, that this is our relationship of that which is, comma, but we also state continually that in order for that to occur, we have accepted what it created, which is us and you. We continually state that, comma, and you. You are not excluded from it. And so, we now come back to the original point. And the original point here was what you must give up. What are you liberating? Why did we tell Monsour, Dragon's Bane Majir, that he is not capable of what we had discussed? Because he is not. Because he sees himself as separate. He still uses the words. He still believes in those functions. And he believes very much that they are real. They are wavering. But here is the point he came to, which is, no matter what I do, no matter what I learn, no matter how I focus on this, I can't change my mind. Which leads him to a powerful point, open to the possibilities. There is a wise saying on your planet. If you continue to do the same thing and continue to get the wrong reaction, that is a definition of insanity. And there have been teachings that have compared the way your state of being to being insane, which can be insulting until you observe and do the exercises from the first section, the first group of lessons, and observe that is exactly what humanity is doing. It is why history repeats itself, because it is the same patterns building the repetition over and over and over again. And some will say, it's a matter of working out the karma. That seems like the nice, glib answer. We can all be at peace with that one, right? We're all here to work out the karma. What does that mean? It is time to start asking the questions, to hold it accountable so that it makes sense and not accept a half answer. What karma? The action? That would be logical. It would imply taking a different action instead. Okay, what? Well, we don't know, so we repeat. Because in a pinch, we do the same thing over and over again. Repetition. We like repetition. We like things staying the same. If the physical world changed in a way that was not expected, your minds would become unhinged. We go back to the room you were in. What if you came home and the couch was in a different place, the TV was on a different wall, the console was gone, and the blinds were all different colors, and the painting on the walls was also a different color. But you know that it's your room. You just left it this morning, and you just came back from work, and it is completely rearranged. You would think you've gone crazy. Your minds like things to stay the same. It gives security. Security against what? The idea of change. One whose grip must be loosened and released in order to move forward. Your minds are much more flexible than you know. And why do we say this? Because we could see the beauty of how we were created. And because of this, we could see the beauty that is within you. But understand the cart before the horse. If we did not see the beauty within us, we would not be able to see it within you. And this goes back to something that was taught in the book, Finding the Inner Self. You can only see yourself on the same level as you see God, or however you see that energy. If you see it as separate, then you are separate. The great duality. If you see it as one, then you are one. And if you are one, you extend that to your brothers and sisters. But wait, the law of energy does not change. Do you see yourself connected with God now? No, obviously not. It is separate. Well, that is what you extend to your brothers and sisters. And that is what they extend to you. It becomes problematic when you see it clearly, because it is the extension of fear. Now, you may be asking, Na Thaiel, what does this have to do with the emotional body? And our point that we wish to rest this meeting upon, to finish it up, is for you to grasp and understand that we are not going to go into the emotional body by explaining how you change and transform your emotions, being you on your level, by applying positivity, thinking better thoughts, loving those emotions. You have tried that. And this was an example we gave the last session as well. You go to therapy. You spend years in therapy. The issue, for example, with parental units, what they should have done, what they could have done, what they didn't do, how you wish they did, and the anger that is built, and the sorrow, and the resentment that is created. And you go to therapy. And therapy then helps you cope with these situations. It smooths the rough edges of the thoughts and emotions out, so that you are not being victimized by them in such an intense way. But can you still hug or think about that parent without that pang being there? Can you imagine that? Being able to get rid of all of those perceptions at once and to be able to see that person as an individual with no accountability being your parent, and actually for the first time see something about them as an individual that you can appreciate, to give them the same grace that you would give a stranger. Can you imagine? Do you understand what we're saying? Does therapy give you that gift? And the answer is no. It cannot. The pain sticks with you. They should have. They could have. He should have. He shouldn't have. But they did. Separation. Your mind, as you are currently perceiving it, uses separation to resolve separation. Does that make sense to you? Don't believe us? Observe. And perhaps you will be blessed, as Monsour Dragonsbane Monsieur was, in understanding the point of saying, my mind is not capable of solving this problem. And we would agree, not that part of the mind. Because that part of the mind is the problem. The problem cannot solve the problem. This is where surrender comes into play. This is where surrender becomes important. Surrender to what? Another important question. What is Spirit selling here? A good question. Your complete mind. This series of lessons into the emotional body, as we said, is not about how to shift your thoughts and emotions to make them more manageable, for you to manage it. You can't manage it. You've been managing it. And look at where it's gotten you. That does not mean your life is horrible. And we do not mean to paint a bleak picture of your perspectives or of life. But we speak to the parts of you like a flat tire that goes round and round, thump, 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 and you continue trucking on down the highway of life. And you think there must be something more. Brothers and sisters, there is. This is what we've been trying to sell you over and over again through every meeting. Inspired work, religious writings, spiritual texts, inspired movies. There is something more. We pause. And so, we go back to the concept of that if it is It is within the experience of God. And we bring up a concept that we used in the last set of lessons, as well as in our book. You've all had the experience, whether at work, whether at a coffee shop, with friends, family, a phone call, a video meeting, where a friend is talking about an issue that they're quite upset with, and you were in a really peaceful place, and they come on and just lay it on you. And the initial reaction is an energetic pushback, and you can't understand what they are saying. It's like you can't quite hear them. And so you give that friend, family member, or whoever your attention, your undivided attention. And in a very short amount of time, not only do you understand why they are upset, you're upset with them. How dare they do that to you? That is so unfair. What just occurred? You were in a peaceful space, a different vibrational space, a different energy, a different state of being. And in order to hear your friend, you gave them your attention. And once you gave them their attention, your attention, you remodulated your frequency to tune in to what they were saying, to tune in to the energy of perceptions they were laying on you. You gave up your peace and gained the upsetness of the energy before you, the frequency that they were holding. This is not an esoteric experience. It happens every day, all the time. If you are busy taking orders at a takeout window, for example, and the customer comes and starts communicating with you their order or giving you the money, there's that attitude that just gets under your skin. It's a remodulation of your energy to their frequency. And the offense is to push it back because you don't want it. And it becomes a struggle, one after another, of constantly pushing away that modulation because you're trying to maintain your center, whether you're at a takeout window, taking calls on a phone, customers at a cash register, for example, customers on a floor at a store, clients that you have to take phone calls at in an official business manner. There is always the remodulation and what energy you let through and what energy you don't. A constant struggle of modulation, of frequency, is what we speak of. And regardless of your work, there should be some type of basis of an aha. I see what you're saying, Na Thaiel. I get it. When this occurs, and you truly give the person your attention, instead of trying to push the energy away, you reharmonize your frequency to theirs. Or when you're pushing it away and it becomes an onslaught of one after another, after another, and after another, you go home feeling like you were beat up. It's the static charge of what you picked up from those customers, those interactions, that you're trying to shake out of your aura. like bad vibes, to clear it. But then you go back the next day and go through the onslaught again, which is what makes the job very difficult. And so for many people, they try to find the job that doesn't have that. But no matter where you go, it's always based on some type of interaction. It's not a question of the interaction. It's a question on how all of you choose to interact with each other, what you choose to be demonstrating. Like you're trying to give away your most negative aspects, and like two pieces of lint rubbing in on each other to build up a static charge that neither likes. And you wonder why the atmosphere is charged with this energy, waiting for something to happen. It is based upon what you choose to demonstrate with each other. But you do have options and you do have choices. The takeout window could be a blessing. You all have that one customer that comes with that good energy, that smile, that wishes you a good day and asks how you're doing, that when you're done with the interaction, it lifts you. What if every interaction was that way? Wouldn't you love your job? Why wouldn't you? It would be a great experience to leave the job with more energy than you came in with, from blessing each other. A point of interest. What are you demonstrating? How do you demonstrate it? And what is that doing to your environment? A good question. But we drift. If everything is within the experience of God, let's play with that ability per se of remodulating, of giving your attention. Because the energy of that which is a frequency. It is its own energy, keeping everything in existence because it is. If it is within the energy of that which is, which means it has a frequency. It has an energy. When you got to the top of the mountain and you saw the expansiveness of what was, what do you think you were tuning into? The mountains? The big sky? The beauty of that which laid before you? Or was it that frequency that moves throughout all of that? What brought that state of awareness of peace? It was a moment of harmonizing with the frequency that moves through all. And yet, the physicality of the mountains was still there. The sky was still present. The splendor that laid out before you, as far as the eye could see, was still present, which would imply that you don't need to lose physicality to become aware of the energy of that which is. An important point, and an exciting one that we hope to tempt your mind with, not to say that it is. That is not what's required here. It is not what we're after. What would please us to no end is a simple what if. What if? Because believe it or not, that is enough space for the part of your mind that you call the higher self, that knows, that exists within that which is, to attempt to connect. Understand, it is not about these teachings. It is not about what we demonstrate. It is, always has been, and always will be about your mind as a whole. You are not attempting to connect to these teachings. They are the crutch, one that you willingly throw away when you get to your knowing of that which is. Because through that, not only will you know what is, because you know yourself, it can now extend through you to all that you see before you. And that sounds esoteric. So we simplify. It is no different than the way it extended to the mountains, to the sky, as far as the eye can see, when you're on top of the mountain from the hiking trail and you have that moment. And you're simply being. The physicality, brothers and sisters, does not disappear. It enhances. Because not only do you see the physicality, you're aware of that which moves between it. It is the yoking of both in the same moment. The juxtaposition, the physical with the non-physical. Seeing it truly in a state of being that is the point and purpose of this life. The reason for the physical body. To experience that. Heaven on earth, as if in heaven. You do not need to wait. And so this goes back to the idea of separation. That is what you are choosing to be. It is your state of being. And you could spend lifetimes working on aspects of it, sanding off the rough edges, the emotions, a collection of focuses of attention, things that were created from this life, that life, and this life all combined into one. Truly, the Alexander knot. And if you enjoy the puzzle, then by all means, spend lifetimes trying to figure out how to undo it. You have up to this moment done so. Are you enjoying your experience? Does it satisfy you? And if so, why are so many saying there has to be more? If it is so satisfying, if the puzzle truly satisfied you, then you wouldn't be listening to these words. You would be enjoying life. And believe it or not, there are plenty that's it. That is their life. They're perfectly where they need to be. But if you are drawn to these words, it is because you are seeking something more, but don't know exactly what it is, but you'll know when you find it. What you are looking for is within yourself. And it is a matter of perception. And so, if that which is has its own frequency, the what if, has its own frequency, would this not imply that the gift or the curse, as you see it, of having those constantly come around you that you must give your attention to, it's part of your job, part of what you do, part of what you can't help, and you take on the problems of those around you because that is what you choose to demonstrate to each other instead of other options. Would that not imply on an individual level, and in this we speak of your mind, that would also have the ability to tune into that frequency of that which is where your mind, what you're looking for, what you've been looking for, exists? Would that not be within your realm of capabilities? Well, let us see. There are many on your planet that have accomplished this. If you go back and look at their writings and their teachings, what do you think they were trying to describe with their words? Because understand, they faced the same challenges we do. First, they set up a form of communication by using catchphrases of things that represent a certain energy, a certain concept, a certain example used, a certain parable created. And none of the words are important at all. They were crutches being used to set up a form of dialogue, of communication, of understanding that when we say this, connection, this word means this to you in energetic terms. What energetic terms? What energetic terms would be used? The way the laws of energy work, of which you exist within. They were never teaching you the path of righteousness. They were teaching you the path to yourself, which is righteousness. Yourself. 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 Not as a separated being, as a connected being. And to what, you may ask? Oh, well, the simple idea is God. Well, what is God? Well, that depends on who you ask. And that comes with a list of do's and don'ts and those damnable. And please be aware for our monthly updates to the list. Are we wrong? Look at your history and face the truth. So what do we really speak of? As it exists, the examples we used getting to the top of the mountain from hiking, that moment on the porch with coffee, at the supermarket while driving, that moment where your mind expanded and there were no thoughts and peace, and they receded to the background, and there was just the glorious state of being until you thought about something. And then it faded. It did not fade. The only thing that shifted was your attention. And the moment that your attention shifted, so did your frequency. And so we want to bring to your attention, excuse the pun, that you have in you the ability to tune into that frequency just as easily as the frequency of your upset friend. Truly, we are living proof. Many of us have had physical lives. There are some who never had such an experience. They chose it not. But some of us did and have moved beyond it. And as we have said, we have been with you the entire time, being the light and reminding you, brothers and sisters, of the beauty and truth of who you are. That is our purpose, extending that beauty to you by knowing ourselves through it. We understand how we extend from that grace. Do you? Do you? What do you think you're liberating from? Your belief and ideas of separation. And that is going to be the point of these teachings. And through that, we will talk about emotions. We will talk about thoughts and include them sometimes because they go hand in hand, a symbiotic relationship between thoughts and emotions, or we should say emotions and thoughts. It is literally shave and a haircut 2 bits. They go hand in hand. One starts, shave and a haircut. The other quickly comes to give physical construct, 2 bits. To complete the statement, to create the experience that you have before you. And all of this is an issue of remodulation, of frequency and of energy, and what you choose to give your attention to. And so, there will be at a point in time that we do the lessons of true will. And those will be concerned about how to connect to, as in actually doing it. But there are stages of acceptance. Even with our son, if we brought that through right now, it would have an energetic reaction with his body because he is not ready. And to force such perceptions through him that he cannot modulate to would have a devastating effect on his energy system. It would be as if he came home from work and the couch was someplace else. The TV was on another wall. The walls were a different color, a different shade. The blinds were missing. The room has been rearranged. He would believe he had gone mad. And so there are stages that we present to you in understanding. And the first one, which is why we keep pointing back to the first set of lessons, for those who listened to, enjoyed the energy, but did no work. If you do no work, you'll get no milk from the cow. It creates the motion and rhythm of working with the teachings to produce the milk. Otherwise, there's just a cow before you and you still don't know what to do because you have no experience. And it is the same cow that stands before you in the room you are present in. It's always been there. Always. You just don't know how to produce the milk from it. And so in that, get to work. Do the exercises. Listen to the lessons. There was much work we gave on the observer self. Have you done it? Have you observed yourself? Have you seen the repetitive patterns your mind continually uses as tools to resolve a problem with a problem? Have you drawn the conclusion that comes from within? I can't fix this, and I don't know what will. Which seems like a defeatist attitude. It is not. It is not about the divine beating that which supposedly is not until it submits. We have never asked you to submit to us. We have demonstrated just the opposite. This is about breaking the patterns of repetitive history over and over again until you realize it is a game, and until you realize it is a fixed game. You continually get handed the same cards until you understand our teaching from this first lesson, that when you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. And you will be offended at how simple a ruse your ego, your belief of I, has used to keep you distracted for how many lifetimes? It hasn't changed the game because it hasn't needed to. It uses the same bait every time. Just over there. If you do this, you can fix it. If you just change this about yourself, then you'll get peace. If you just lose that weight, then you will love yourself. If I just get the new job, I will have the money to solve my problems and be happy. If I get the bigger place, then truly will I feel like it's a home. And are the new things nicer? Yes, but that's not what you did the intention for, is it? You did it to feel complete. So, brothers and sisters, an honest question and looking for an honest answer. One that does not make you worthless or shameful. Are you complete? Begin your lists of what you promised yourself doing from your 20s up. What changes you were going to make. The new job, the new relationship, add it all. Go back through your history of repetition. What did you change that once you did would finally bring you peace and finally make you complete? And here you are in the room that you're in. How many years has collected if you start off from your 20s and move through to where you are now? Dear sister and brother, do you know yourself as complete? Are you whole? Do you understand the game that is before you? Maybe if you read another book, that would solve the problem. Because it would teach you how to accept yourself. No one can teach you that. You must teach yourself. But first, comes stage one. Understanding and breaking the game. No matter what you do, it is not going to make you complete. No matter what you do, you are not going to be whole. You will not. And here's why we say that. We use the word will, which is you creating. And so we use first as a template your creation path. If I do this, then, then I will get that. And then I will be complete. I will have peace. One energy structure that deals with the illusion of time for a state of being. Physical things do not create a state of being that we speak of. Which is why we said to Monsour, Dragon's Wing Magier, you cannot do this. You don't have the ability. Because within his mind, he is still using that cycle to create a state of being, of completeness and wholeness. Now, have we not said repetitively, and we use a broad paintbrush here, not just through these teachings, this demonstration, has not other channelers said this? Has not other writers said this? Has not religious works said this? Has not other people who speak publicly said this? Inspired movies said this? Which is, you are already complete. You are already whole. You just need to accept that and your mind thinks, comma, with my thoughts and emotions. Those were not our words. That's not what we said. That's what you included. With my faults, I accept them as they are. And in truth, there's a truth to that, but not in the way that you perceive it. It doesn't mean you accept them as a state of life. That is the meaning of life. Life is difficult. Life is problematic. There will always be problems. And so there will. Because you are creating that state of being for them to be there. What we have said to clarify is that God already gifted it to you. If you wish, you already have a place within the kingdom of heaven. You are already liberated. You just don't know it yet. Because it is impossible for you to be without that expansive state of I am moving through you. Because again, then there would be God, and then there's this place over here, which is where you exist. Someplace else. Outside and separate from that experience, that one day you may be worthy to enter. Perhaps that's what Spirit's been droning on about, is working out your problems to make you worthy to enter that state of being. But that is not what we have said. We have continually said, you are already present because there's no place else for you to be. Because if you are being, you are within that experience. It flows through you. In point, it's keeping you in existence now. And when God gave, it already gave all. You just need to accept that. See the difference? There's nothing to do except be. Be that experience. Be what has already been given. Be that which God gifted. And accept the gift. And as we pointed out, in the moments that you had it, whether it was in the car, at the supermarket, on the porch, on top of the mountain, when you had that moment of thoughts and emotions disappearing and just being an appreciation of what was present before you, and there was peace. You were being peace. You had remodulated your frequency to the frequency of that which is, which gained you your knowing, whether you realize it or not. You and what you call your higher self were one, which was why your attention for that moment was not on all your problems of being. There was only knowing of that which moved through everything, the state of I am, and the physicality it moved through. The physical did not disappear, which means it was possible to be in that state and do a load of laundry, get the dishes done, go shopping, pick up some McDonald's on the way home. Why would you have to leave it? Why would you choose to? Indeed, if we, the Spirit, can come through this physical form and be here now, if what we said was not true, then we would fall from grace. We would lose ourselves in your world of state of being. But we do not. We experience it with that state of I am and the physicality simultaneously. And that is what we extend to you. Because we understand what we are. And through that, we see our brothers and sisters before us. If we had left it up to our personal mind coming up with those solutions, and hear what we are saying, if we had left it up to our personal mind to come up with those solutions, then we'd still be waiting to liberate. And that brings us full circle. Liberate what? Do you see it, brothers and sisters? Do you understand what we've been saying? What it is you're attempting to do? And how simple it really is. And if you think it's complicated, we reply, the only reason that this is so is because you still wholly believe you are separate, so you would see it that way. And we work to create the chink in the armor, enough for a what if to slip through. And our peace to you. Okay, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. And of course, if you liked the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. And this way you'll get notifications at that point when we come out with new videos. And it lets us know that you're listening. And of course, more people that like, the more traffic that we'll get as far as for this channel to give opportunities for other people as well to hear this. Have a good day.